Hi everybody, hope you're good. I'm just on my way to a property in Bristol this morning where we are doing some second fixing. So that means putting on all the sockets and switches from previously from some wiring that we've done. It's a full kitchen renovation project where the kitchen's been smashed through to the dining area. So we've reconfigured the lighting, the sockets. It's had a brand new socket ring main put out there. The cooker has been rejigged and repositioned. So yeah, we've got some bits and pieces to do. All my cables for the lighting are currently above the ceiling from where the builders plasterboarded over the ceiling and skimmed it. So it's always an interesting day today when we're going to be measuring up to and cutting the holes in the plasterboard to fish our cables back down again. So all being well and good, it should be absolutely fine. However, we do come across some funny things sometimes with cables being trapped and cables not where they're supposed to be because the builders decided to move them and all sorts of stuff like that. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, let's get down to the property and take a look. Right guys, so to give you a bit of a rundown about this place, what's basically going on here is this is a newly skimmed ceiling here, so there's 6 spotlights to go in here. So we've already got the measurements. The cables are already in the ceiling up above. They were done before the plastering had happened, so the cables are up there ready to come down through. So I'm going to be measuring up and drilling out exactly the positions of these lights here. These ones are existing here. This is part of the other side of the kitchen. This is the new beam that's gone in to open it up to the diner side now. So we've remained with a spotlight over here. Because of the reason being, you could think why not make it all downlights, but they didn't want that because they're going to have a table here. So it's nice to have like a nice chandelier type fitting over the table to break it up a bit. And then here, the more functional end, it'll be all spotlights on the kitchen side. There's going to be a tall standing American style fridge freezer going here. We've already been here to put the sockets on. You see, these are Hamilton sockets. We really like these. I really love the slimliness of them. They're not the complete slim ones. There's still a little bit of still a little bit of depth on them, probably like 6-7 mil deep. But I really like that. I really like the way that they are. Really nice finish on them. We fit quite a lot of these now. We've never had any problems with them, and the quality of them feels pretty good, pretty decent. So yeah, these ones here, we decided to butt them up here, so they butt up perfectly, so that this is all going to be tiled behind as well. So top tip for anybody doing this type of thing is always make sure you've got screws long enough so that they can be left undone far enough that a tiler can get his tiles in, because this wall is going to be more than likely going to be tiled. So these screw heads here have been left long enough so that if as and when it comes to tiling, these screws will be loosened off a little bit, and then the tiles will slide in nice and neat behind it, and then the sockets and switches will be screwed on top of it. I see all too often when I go to properties and I see that these faceplates have been screwed all the way back, and then the tilers clearly just came up to it and tiled up to the side of it. Guys, write in the comments, any electricians out there, if you've come across this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It is like a horror show when you see it. And now you need to try and get to that socket because it needs maintenance, or you're trying to track a fault, so you need to open up some sockets. As electricians, to find sockets that are tiled into that have been tiled up to is an absolute nightmare. So please, if you're having any home renovations done and you're a potential customer of somebody's, then always make sure with the electrician that they're going to leave them open a little bit, or if depending on the scenario, depends if it's like a new installation or whether the installation's already there. Just make sure with the tiler, ask the question, suss out what they're like, find out. So how will you finish these tiles then up to this socket? Not to try and catch them out, but because you need to know if they're planning on just tiling straight up to the edge of that socket, because that is a big no-no. In my opinion, that's a deal breaker for me. Yeah, anyway, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. So we got the cooker controller here. I've got some cables here for the pelmet lighting. These cables go back to, it's been ages since I've been here, but yeah, these cables run back to the switch position over here. No, I'm telling lies. These cables actually run back to this switch spur here, because so that if you're chopping some onions or something here and it's getting a bit dark, you can just turn the switch straight on. In some scenarios, we do wire these pelmet feeds directly back to the light switch. So it depends on the scenario and what the customer wants. But in this case, that's what we're doing. Cooker hood feed up here ready, being controlled by a switch spur, which is going to be down in the bottom of one of these units. Annoyingly, these are the old ring main cables, and these were supposed to come up behind the actual kitchen units. I did ask for the builder to make sure that these cables were going to be behind the unit, so if he needed to move them across a bit, then do it, but it didn't happen, so I'm going to have to move these cables, get them chiseled out and put up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some 17th edition junction boxes on here, which to anybody that doesn't know, it's just some super good junction boxes with clamps on them and things to hold the connections in, but also hold the cable still. And they will basically at a junction point, it will be a connection point where these cables will be sat on top of here, out the way. So that's what we've done here, is we've closed off the existing ring main, which there's cables for it there, and there's another set there that used to come down to sockets. We've chiseled out the wall, got them up out the way, and we're putting the connections up here of the old ring main, the old socket circuit ring main, and we've brought in a brand new fresh socket circuit ring main round to wire around the kitchen. So basically, guys, the situation was that there was one big ring main socket circuit doing the entire house. So what we've now done is we've now separated it so that this kitchen has its own socket circuit ring main, and the rest of the house has its own ring main as well. So they're two completely separate circuits, which is much better. So anyway, there's some other bits and pieces which we'll go on to, but I will now start and show you exactly what's going on with the light fittings. We really like using these Bell light fittings. These are really good fittings. What we really like about them is that they are 550 to 600 lumens. They have a beam angle of 40 degrees. They're IP65 rated, meaning these are good for shower, bathroom locations. They're fire rated as well, which is great. So it means that anywhere where fire regs are to be concerned with, if you've got a fire rated plasterboard ceiling and you need the fittings to be fire rated, then these are fire rated. They're also good for any ceiling as well in terms of fire rating. It stops the fire penetrating up through the hole. And also they've got they're 7 watts and they come with a plug and play type connection, and they've got a 7-year warranty. So, but that's not all. Let me show you this plug and play. There's a couple more features about these lights we really like as well. And here, this is the part that you wire into the actual installation. So this is the part that has the wires that come in from your ceiling straight into here. So this is the fixed part of the installation. And it's simply, this is then becomes sort of like the appliance then, that just plugs in. It plugs in like that, locks in on there, and that's it, done. Your light is now ready to go into the ceiling, and it just sits back on these wing clips. So you put the wing clips back, you push it into the ceiling, you let it go, and then it pulls into the ceiling like that. But what we really like about these fittings as well is that if you see here, there's a little switch there, and that switch means that you can select it from warm white, cool white, or daylight. That's the 3 settings. So the warm white is normally about 3,500K, and the daylight on these I think is about 6,000K, and then the cool white is around about 4,000K from memory. So I'll show you one of these in a bit when they're on, but yeah, it's just great. You can switch between the different modes like that. And what I also really like about these fittings as well is that it comes with 2 bezels as well. A white one, a good all-rounder, the white ones. You can pretty much put them anywhere. And then you got your brush still effect as well. And what I really like, this is what I really love about these fittings. Just hold on there, hold on, watch this. You got the bezel like this. When you want to clip it on, just clips on like that. It's magnetic. It comes off and just clips on like that. And it's a really good magnet on as well. It's never coming off, but it's just great that if you ever want to change anything, or if you want to do some decoration or something like that around the lights, you can just take the bezel off, and you could just run a line of paint around the edges, or if you want to adjust, then you can change it, and then once you're done, it just clips on, and that's it, and that's your light fitting finished in the ceiling, which I'll show you that more in detail in a bit. Okay, so here we begin then. So we've got our In actual fact, it's the builder that's done these markings, and what he's actually done is he has put markings on the wall here. So all I need to do is basically just measure from the corner across to here, and then likewise for the rest of them. And he's also put them here as well. He did also write them down, but seeing that they're still here, I might as well just go off of what the readings that we've got here. So we've got 480 there. So if I just come to this point here where I know there's a line here and a line here, so I know there's going to be a light in this area here. So if we're going to go 480 to there, and then off of this way, we're then going to go 655 millimeters to there. So that's 655. I was off a little bit there. So that is going to be right there. So just give it a remeasure. 480 bang on, and then 655 I said, so I'm at 5 mil there, so all I do is just like so. Right, that's going to be my central for that one. So what I got to do is repeat the process. What I'm going to do is, I've measured that one now. There's going to be 2 rows of 3 spots, so it goes 1, 2, 3 across here, and then 1, 2, 3 across here. So what I'm going to do is, I've marked out that spotlight. I'm going to mark out where this spotlight is. I'll then string a line from here to there to give me my exact central there. You can laser it. However, the amount of time it would take me to mess about with the laser, I might as well just use the string that I've got in my bag just to quickly whip across. On larger scale projects, definitely we'd entertain a laser. But for this, it's just literally from there to there. It's not, you know, it's one of those, it's overkill for this kind of scenario. Right, okay, right, so 745. Oh, and then we've got our 745 to here. Same with the measurement there. 655, which brings us 655 to there. Right, that's great. Now I have my mark from here. I've got one here. Time to string a line between to give me my exact one that I can measure off here. And I've got the measurement from the wall to there to find out where that one's going to be right there. So I've got my trusty chalk line that I've got here. So what I'm going to do here is I will now hook this. I've actually put a screw where this central point is here. I've actually drove a screw into the plasterboard there, into the ceiling like so. So what I've done, I've just hooked onto it. I can now come across with my string line and can pull the string nice and tight here, so it's on this mark here, and obviously it's there. So this is going to give me my central point, so that I can get the last one in line. And that little flick like that, now I've got myself a nice little mild chalk line down there, which is perfect now. Bring it back in. So all I need to do now, these light fittings, I would have put them, as long as it wasn't a joist, I would have put them central to each other. But just so you know, this job has been going on for about 4 months, so hence the reason why I can't quite 100% remember. So 9350 is the gap there, and then we mark here 9150. So it's about, yeah, it's out minorly. So what I'll do then, that was 9350 from there to there. I just mark from my point here to, from there, straight across to here, 9350. Mark this one here, like so, there we go. So that's that row done, like so. So all I got to do is just repeat the process on this side, and that's my 2 rows of lights. So got 660 to here. There we go. Okay, screw up into this ceiling here. Same thing again. That's a line there like that, nice and straight. There we go. We have our second line. $9,350 to there, right. just a smidge, there we go. Just a tip as well, when you're doing these spotlights, try and avoid using things like permanent markers, because decorators absolutely hate black permanent markers on ceilings that they're trying to whitewash. So top tip, pencil and chalk, no problem, but yeah, avoid permanent markers for definite. One thing I always like to do on these jobs is always, whenever you have a brand new spotlight position, always with a hammer and a bashing screwdriver, just give it a little knock up just to test to make sure that you're not on a joist or anything like that. Now we're good. Because the thing is, you take these measurements, but then in some scenarios, things can happen, like the walls get boarded, or layers of plasterboard get added, or a stud wall gets shifted, or you wouldn't believe the amount of things that can happen, or the original boxing that you measured off has now been made bigger, so it now means it's been brought forward, so that when you come to measure off and you're thinking you're taking measurements from the existing boxing in, say for example on the wall, then you're going by your old measurements, not realizing that the builders actually did something different after you left, and then you've gone to take your measurements and they're all off. They're off by about 6 inches or something like that. So in here you've got ceiling joists that run along. So what we're basically doing now is just making sure that any of these light fittings, if they were a little bit close to a ceiling wooden joist, a structural supported joist in the ceiling, what we're doing is making sure that we're not actually going to be drilling up straight into one of those. So just to make sure that our measurements haven't changed in any way. So by doing this, it takes a moment to do on every spotlight. However, it's a lot more time effective than if you don't do it and you do hit a joist and now you've got big problems because you just drilled a hole in the brand new ceiling, which is all finished and skimmed. So it's always better to do these checks, do the checks, and then you're good to go. If you still come across a problem, then you've done your best. It's much better than just cracking on and just putting the holes in and pepper potting the ceiling and then coming across a problem then on the last hole when you realize there's actually no, we're on a joist on this specific one. Oh no, but we've knocked all the holes out now, so now we're in a real hellhole situation. So hence the reason why I'm just doing this now. You can use a drill with like a 5mm HSS drill bit to go up in. I prefer to knock the holes on most occasions, because just in case there's something there that you don't realize is there, like there could be a pipe here. Like I said, if the measurements have changed, you could potentially now be drilling straight up into a copper pipe or a waste pipe or something without realizing it. So I prefer to use this screwdriver. It's got quite a blunt end on it, but it's a very fine end. And by doing this, if I am going to hit anything, then I will feel it as it's starting to go, rather than just sending in a drill and then just drilling straight into something. And I always make a conscious effort to make sure that the holes I'm making are going to be smaller than the actual hole that I'm about to drill. I'm doing it by eye only because I've been doing it for years, and I know that the light fitting that will be covering it will be far greater than this. So what I do is that if I know I'm going to be within where the lines are, then what I do also is I put the screwdriver on a bit of an angle outwards as well. So that if there is anything nearby but not quite where this hole is, then by putting it on an angle, it will push over that way to tell me that, to let me know if there's anything a little bit further across from these holes that I've already made, just to give me a bit more clearance as well. So now to set up the drill. So I've got my drill here, and what I'm going to do is I've got one of these dust catchers, which is fantastic for drilling out spotlights. So what I have to do here is basically this simply sits inside of here like that, and then that goes into the end of my drill. Let me open them up a bit. There we go. I now have something which will now take care of catching all the dust while I'm actually drilling out the light fitting at the same time. The moment of truth. Here it is. This really is the moment of truth. So I put my pilot bit on the central hole. It's covered up. Here we go. going through 2 layers of plasterboard on this one. See, just a tiny bit of dust, but the majority of it is caught inside of here, which is great. Look at that. So that's how much dust it's saved going down on the worktops and everywhere. So here we go. Oh, a bit more coming down through. There we go. Oh, look at this. I've even got one with them on as well. I think that's from the previous. Ah, yes. I've already pre-made off all the ends. This is why it's always good to do as much as you can in the future, in the present, so it helps you out in the future. So what I've basically done here is I've put on all the ends previously, and with the idea being that I've left this one disconnected because I think that's it. The cables run from here across to here. So what I need to do is connect this one into this one, and it will put power onto all of these ones as well. So yes, that's going to save me a bit of time. Right, so now I've got all of these light fittings out now. These are all ready. So these are all currently dead at the moment because they come through to this cable here, which is going to connect onto this cable here, which these ones are already pre-existing. So they are now going to be, once that wire is connected, all of these will carry on working as they were before. But the difference being is that this wire is sending power through to this side, which then puts power onto this one, which then feeds each of those to this one here. This is the end of circuit here. There's only one cable there. So yeah, I've dropped the power to the lights now. So I'm going to crack on and get this one connected, get that connected, and then basically on with the show. Another thing as well is that these light fittings need replacing too, because these are a different style. These are like a GU10 type fitment. So they're not like an all-in-one unit like we've now got. These ones are all the click and play type ones, whereas these ones are the more conventional. This one's been strung out the way here. So yeah, these ones are your conventional sort of wired in type. So with these ones, if anything goes wrong with the bulb, the advantage is that you can just take the bulb out. You can just take the bulb out like this and unplug the bulb like so to get to them. So you don't get that with these new ones. Here's the new ones. And a lovely cup of tea from the customer here too. A couple of biscuits, always appreciated. Yeah, you don't get that luxury with these ones. However, you do get the luxury of these ones that when it's time to do anything, you can just plug them in and plug them out. So if you do get a problem with one of them, they're very easy just to sort of pull out from the ceiling and unplug without the need to call an electrician. Although you do need to be a little bit handy to be able to do it without wrecking your ceiling. So it's one of those really. But yeah, this is the way the kind of the market's going now. So it's all like these plug and play types like this. And you can switch between the different colours on these. These ones, obviously, you can't once you put the bulb in, that's it. If you've just bought 10 bulbs for 10 lights, then that's what you've got. However, you do have the chance to be able to just replace the actual lamps for warmer white or cooler white. Right, so this is the existing feed here. So, right, there's no power here, which is great. So I'm now connecting the existing feed onto our new feed. Get these cables a bit of straighten out at the same time. What we do as well, let's just take a look. Always leave a nice bit of length on these cables too. Let's check what is good, we are good. Okay, I got the brown on the left on that one, brown on the left on that one. So what I what I do is I just put a bit of tape around them, make them a bit easier to manage. Just neatens them up a little bit. And now, my brand new device that I have. Do you know what? I've never had one. I've had one similar that does the insulation from the sides, but I've never had one quite like this. So this is brand new. Let's see how good this is. Wow, that's nice. Ooh. Oh, that is nice. That is very good. Do you know, sorry, it's taking a minute then just to absorb that moment. But basically, yeah, that has made really light work of this. That's what I do is then like this, these ones like that. Let me just check where these connections are going. It's been a little while since I've opened one of these up. Okay, so it's got the live earth and neutrals. I just need to spin the whole thing around. That's why I don't want to go too far with it before checking the connections, right? Okay, so they just sit in here like this. I've changed my mind a little bit. Always leave. I always like to leave a little bit of slack, you know? A little bit of slack like that. There's nothing. Once you've done one or two of these, you then start to uniform the rest of them the same then. Oh, I need floor layers. I bet you're absolutely hating hearing that sound. You can hear all my little ends dropping on the ground. Just so you know, I am one of the sparkies that actually does go around and sweep up afterwards. As much as many people may not believe it, I really do. I know that floor layers hate electricians when it comes to our little cable ends, because they're trying to screed a floor, do something amazing to the floor. They got their job to do. The electricians have got their job to do, but the electricians haven't swept up or anything and left all their little bits everywhere and left it to the floor layers to then have to sweep through. It doesn't go down well. My friend's a floor layer. In fact, my friend did this floor. Look at his wonderful floor. Thank you, Steve. Thank you very much, my friend. You've done a great job. This is for one of our customers. Right, so these push fits, they just push in nicely like this. And then the earths go in. Like I said, once you've done a couple of these, you pick up the pace with it. Earths are going in like this. And then the neutrals are going in like this. The neutrals and the lives, I'll make sure there's no copper showing whatsoever. So they're in completely nice and low in there. The earths with the sheathing. The sheathing, to be fair, slides around a little bit on its own anyway. Right, so they're all in nice. You can see how I've kind of changed my configuration a little bit here. Right. So having left a little bit of slack in there. I then slid both of those into there like that. Okay, cool. So is that one ready to close up? Simple click, click. Do you know what, I found my flow. I found my flow with it now. Like I said, you do a couple and then you just get that flow and then you repeat, repeat, repeat then. To measure the earth, and I always bend it over the end like that and then give it a cut where it is, and then I always just put a little kink in the earth wire just to stop it sliding off. There's nothing more annoying when you put get the all to the right length on the earth sheath and then it slides off and then it goes into oblivion. You can't find it. Right, so my new flow now is live into here. Get the live earths and neutrals in of one cable. Always give them a little pull test there, like that. And then the next one, just got a bit of manipulation at the minute. Live goes in. Look how much easier it makes it on push fits like this. That one's in. And that one's in. Right. So, right, now they're both in on the cable holders. Means I can now just clips in like that, nice and neat. Ready for me to clip a light fitting onto it. Let me show you just how quickly these light fittings clip in on these plugins. It's a simple case of clip like that, make sure it's made a secure connection, and then push it up into the ceiling. And because the ceiling is yet to be painted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave the cans sitting in the ceiling like that. So they're ready to be pushed up into the ceiling, but I'm going to leave them like this just for the minute so the painter can do his stuff. He can pull some slack down on them as well, so they're hanging a bit more like this. He can do his painting around them, and then they can simply be just these springs on the sides fold back, and they just push nice and neatly into the ceiling. And then you finish it off with either a white or a stainless steel brushed bezel to go on the top of it. So yeah, I'll show you this next one as well. Again, nice little click there. Slack up into the ceiling, and then left just hanging on its flex there, and the connection remains above. Voila! Now we've got all of our light fittings connected. Now I'm now going to do. I've run an insulation test on it and an earth check on it, and all connected now. So let's turn the light on, and here we go. So we can't push the light fittings up yet until it's painted, but all is good. Next job is going to be getting power to this dishwasher. So under the kick plate here, when the kitchen was being installed, we left, here's our coiler cables right here. This coiler cables is ready. I didn't cut the loop either. I left it as an uncut loop, just in case we didn't need it for some reason. Then I wouldn't have to make another connection off under here. So, but yeah, we are going to be putting I'm going to uncoil this, get it connected in the back of the cupboard to then give power to this unit. I'm going to run a ring continuity test on this socket circuit just to make sure that everything, seeing that loop's not cut. In theory, if I've got all these sockets connected now, then I should have a ring circuit fully. Obviously, it's been many months since I've done the wiring here, so it's because it's all disjointed, and I need to test anyway. But right now I'm going to check it's a ring circuit, so it's a continuous loop all the way around the kitchen, and then I know I can cut into that cable there and add the socket, and it'll still remain a loop. So I've just done a ring continuity check. It's not a ring, so there's an open circuit here somewhere. So that's going to be because we've got coils of cable underneath. We would have left them under either this kick plate or one of these kick plates here. So I've identified that one there. So what I'm going to do now is, this is a handy little tip. If you're trying to get off kick plates like this, then as long as there's a small gap near the top, only got to be a tiny gap, but using an Allen key like this, and just using an Allen key of your size, just slip it into the small gap, give it a twist like a little hockey stick. Oh. It's a little bit tricky trying to do this one-handed while holding the camera, but here we go. If I give it a pull. I need to get two hands on this. Come on. And I get a pair of pliers on it. There we go. Just pulls down like that. And there we have here's our cables right here. Brilliant. Brilliant. So this is our cables here. I can put them in a 17th edition, 17th edition JB, or I can actually use them. Thinking about what I'm going to do is, there's going to be a big fridge freezer here. So what I'm going to plan to do is put a socket in the bottom here, cut a hole beside the socket, and cut a hole in the side here, so the plug can feed through, and then it can be brought through the hole here to plug in there. That's a nice neat way of being able to have access to a socket, but without having to have it on show at the same time. And also it avoids it from being behind the actual appliance. So this plate here is white at the moment. We will eventually change that for a stainless steel one. However, it's going to have a great big American freezer straight across here, so you won't even see that plate. So you can see here what I did, because the coil was here, I've managed to just get my arm underneath here, near to the back of the unit, and then I was then able to poke the cables up and fish them up like that. The other option is, if you're having a nightmare, you've got tiny arms, then I'd suggest putting a draw wire in there, poke a load of cable down, and then it'll come to the bottom naturally by gravity, and then you then grab it and then pull it forwards, tie your new cables on to that draw wire, and then pull it back up through and pull the wires through with it. Now we've got a new socket position in here. That's going to be feeding the freezer that is here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut a hole to the side of the socket here. That's going to be to accept the plug to come through to be able to plug into this socket here. Got some cables here that are going to get trunked across here. But what we're looking at is, what is the depth? How far back is this piece of board here? How far back is it? So I'm going to measure from the board to the top. So we got 545 here. So then, if I then do, oh, hold on. If I then do 545 to there, I can see got plenty of room there. So what I'm going to do with that, see that gap there between that to the wall? What I'll do then is I will cut, I know that the board doesn't start till about here, so I'll just cut a small hole here. And then that means that the plug top can go straight through the other hole that I've made. So it'll literally go in and straight plug into that socket. So now you can see where I've drilled that hole there. If I put a screwdriver through it, just to show you, it's literally right there. So I can just feed the plug straight from this side, straight through, and plug straight into our new socket here. Right guys, I'm just going to do something. I'm going to earth check the actual cooker, and it's something that sometimes gets a little bit overlooked, and I have seen it not done before in the past. And basically what I've done here is I've just taken a loop impedance test to prove that I got earth actually at this cooker controller here. This cooker controller is feeding this cooker appliance. So what I've basically just done, I've just got myself a reading from this cooker, from this socket outlet, which is on the cooker circuit. So I've just got myself an earth reading from here to prove that there is an earth path directly to this unit here. And so what I now want to do is now test from here, from this plate here, that I know is earthed. And I now want to prove that the actual metal bodywork of the cooker itself is earthed. Because if there's to ever be a problem with this appliance, and if there wasn't an earth path, then basically what could end up happening is the live conductor could short out against the metal casing of this cooker, and then basically if there is no earth path here, then basically the actual casing will become live. There'll be no circuit protective conductor to make it trip out. So all that will happen is become live, and it will now become very dangerous. So by me testing now from this plate here down to the actual metal appliance, I'm now about to prove that there's an earth path here, so that if a live was to ever short out onto the bodywork, it's going to flow straight down to earth and trip out the circuit nice and fast. It will trip out nice and quick and make it safe. So it's really important that we prove that there is an earth path from here to here. I know I keep saying it, but I've seen it so many times when people, all they do is just take an earth reading from here. Yeah, the cooker's got earth. No, you haven't proven, you've proven this has got earth. You haven't proven anything yet. So what I always like to do is I just take a quick, all it is, just a basic continuity reading. There we go, it's a good sound. It's a good sound. 0.05, yeah, so we've got a lovely low reading there. So what I've basically done now is just proven that there is an earth path. I've already proven the earth path back to consume unit. I've now proven there's an earth path down to here. Like I said, sorry for the deep explanation on that, but that is something that is so important. And it's not just for cookers, it's for many other items as well. They get tested so far, and then the actual very, very end part of the circuit, the most important part, sometimes gets overlooked and missed. So I just wanted to highlight that. So we've practically come to the end of today, and yeah, as you can see, the customer's already getting the things back into the kitchen, getting ready to make this kitchen operational again. We have got the sockets now working, we have the cooker working, and we have all the spotlights working as well, and all ready for decoration. I'm not finished here, I still got some other things I need to do. There's a cooker hood to go up. Here we've got some helmet lighting to go under in the form of some cool white strip lighting that's going to go underneath here. A few other bits and pieces, a bit of reconfiguration to do on the lighting circuit, because I've got all the lights coming on together. I just need to split the lighting circuit a little bit, but no, it's really getting there, and not bad for a day's work. This is a really satisfying part of the job for me, when you've got the power on and the customer is now able to get things back functioning again. They've been living having a temporary kitchen in their lounge now for months. There's been some hold up to the building work that's been going on here and things. I wanted to come in here as quickly as possible to get some power on as soon as we could. We've been really busy ourselves, but I've managed to jump in today and get it done. So yeah, a good day, a really good satisfying day. The sun is shining in Bristol. What more could you want? But if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and leave your comments. I'd love to hear from you guys, whether you're a tradesperson or homeowner, business owner. It'd be great to hear from you, and I'll see you guys on the next one.